Hey man, I'm Jusko from ProudMoney.com. News today that the government is going to force credit card late fees to be slashed to as low as $8 at a maximum, which is down from averages now that are about $30 for the first offense and could be $40 or $41 if you have a late payment a second time within 6 months of the first late payment. And while that might seem like good news on the surface, the question for this video is, will it lead to unintended consequences, which means things like reduced rewards on credit cards, higher interest rates, and maybe even fewer no annual fee credit cards on the market? Now, normally when I see something in the news like this where there's something being proposed, it's usually something in Congress that has no chance of passing, so I kind of just wave my hand at it, take it with a grain of salt. But this is very much different because it is coming from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is the government organization that has the ability to sort of change this law, change this regulation, because they have jurisdiction over the sort of administering of the Credit Card Act of 2009, which was something passed in Congress that basically reined in a lot of the worst practices of the credit card companies at that time, but they kind of left the late fees a little squishy and allowed the credit card companies to continue to increase credit card late fees at the same time that they were getting rid of things like over the limit fees and that kind of stuff. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is basically saying, yeah, we're doing this. We are going to make a change here. All we're doing now is we're saying, hey, we're going to give you till April to make some comments if you're a credit card company or if you're somebody else that has a comment about this, and then we'll make our final ruling as to how it's going to be. So that $8 late fee cap might not end up at $8, but it's probably not going to end up too much different than that. They'll listen to some comments and they'll come up with their final proposal or their final regulation, but it's not going to be that much different than what they're saying today. And so sure, on the surface, that is a win for consumers, but we are all big boys and girls, and we know that the credit card companies, if you plug one hole, they are going to find a way to make up that money somewhere else. And so you've got kind of like three prongs here, or three places where you can very easily see where they might make up that money if they're not charging as much for late fees. Number one would be higher interest rates. Interest rates on credit cards are already kind of crazy high, partially because they raised the interest rates back when the Credit Card Act of 2009 was first put into place. The credit card interest rates changed quite a bit then. We're already looking at 20% for most people on most of their credit cards. Some of them now are even over 30%. Not sure how much higher you can go there. Number two would be rewards. Obviously, if you are going to lose some revenue from the late fees, well, you might want to cut your costs, and giving out rewards is a cost of being a credit card company. So you could see where that potentially would be something that could happen. And then number three would be annual fees on your credit cards. Maybe if you want rewards at all, you're gonna have to pay an annual fee for your credit card. And if you want a no annual fee credit card, there just won't be rewards anymore. That's probably a little extreme. I can't necessarily see that happening, but those are the things where you can see they would kind of shine the light and figure out where they're gonna make up that money. Last week, the CEO of Synchrony Bank said that they knew this ruling was coming, that they were already thinking of ways to offset the impact of it. So you can see the credit card companies are already thinking about what they are going to do about that loss of revenue. Now, this is probably not going to actually happen in terms of the late fees being capped until 2024. They got through April, they're giving people the opportunity to comment, and then, the government, everything works a little slow. So before they'll actually come up with that final ruling, it'll take a while, but probably sometime in 2024 is when we are going to see that cap on the late fees. Now, while the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau does have the authority to make this change and cap those late fees, it's a somewhat controversial government organization because it does get to sort of make the laws a little bit without congressional approval. And so some people are not very happy about that. And when Donald Trump was president, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was essentially gutted and really just existed in name only and wasn't doing anything anymore when Joe Biden became president. Then they sort of gave it teeth again. But if we end up in 2024 with a Republican president, you could very easily see the organization or the department being cut back again, and maybe that late fee cap going away, although I wouldn't necessarily see that as a first priority for a Republican government. So that is the news there. We will see if it is a good thing or if it leads to unintended consequences that a lot of us are not happy with. Now, this announcement about the credit card late fees came as part of a larger announcement from the White House talking about sort of a war on junk fees in the consumer marketplace. And there are two other ones that I want to highlight because I am 100% on board with them. Now, I should say right off here that these are things that the White House is asking Congress to do, asking them to tackle, but there's nothing actually in the works right now. So we'll see if it leads anywhere, but it is definitely something that I think the majority of Americans would like to see happen. So the first one is all the extra fees that are put on the tickets that you buy for concerts, for sporting events, and for other entertainment things. The White House does not mention them in particular, but they basically say that Ticketmaster is charging you one price for the ticket, but you already know when you see these sort of face price on there that there's going to be like 20 or 25% extra in ticket fees that have no apparent purpose. And so basically what they are saying from the White House is, how about we just tell you what the real price is up front instead of giving you one price and then putting a bunch of fees on it, so you know what you're paying for and you can make a decision based on that price that's all in. And then number two is banning resort fees and destination fees at hotels, because you don't have any transparency currently in what a hotel room is actually going to cost you. You see the price of a hotel when you go to book it, but there are all kinds of fees on the back end. So you can't do any sort of apples to apples comparison from one hotel to the next, because the room rate that they show you is just a complete fiction when it comes to the actual price that you will pay at the end. So you don't know what that end price is from one hotel to the next. And then when you go down the path of booking a hotel, you just say to yourself, once you see all those fees, well, I might as well just do it, because if I go to another hotel, they're going to screw me in the same way. So they're calling for a ban on those resort fees and destination fees, again, to show an all-in transparent per room price right up front. And unlike the cap on the credit card late fees, I don't think there's any sort of unintended consequences that we have to worry about when it comes to asking businesses to just be honest about the cost of what they are offering. By giving us a bait and switch situation where you show one price and then you add a bunch of fees onto it, the end cost is different than what you told us it was. That's dishonest. By telling us what the price is, it's still the same price, but then we know what it is and we can make a decision based on the real information instead of the fake information. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of it in the comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you are not going to leave a comment or you are not going to go to the website, I'd ask you to watch this video next.